The next speaker is Pepe Coronado, who's an artist, and his talk is entitled Dominican Plastic Artists, the Missing Links to Make It in the Arts in the U.S.
Hello. I am more than honored to be here, and for many reasons. One, to be among all of you guys. You guys don't know me, and this is going to be a great chance for me to expose my work and express some of the trajectory from my time in the U.S. And so thank everybody for having me here. And I'm going to talk about my background as the images progress. I'm going to start with, I came to the U.S. in '89, my early 20s, with no college education, a semester of business school in the DR. It took me a year and a half. I came through Chicago and then ended up in Austin, Texas. And after doing some commercial work, I met the guy that is behind me there. His name is actually Coronado too, and we were not related. He's Mexican descent, Chicano from Texas. And he started a program, a printmaking project in the studio. He's a painter, to invite Latino artists to come and work in the studio and with the opportunity to create prints. He wrote some grants, and at that time, still a little bit, but not as bad, Austin was divided by the highway between the Austin, normal Austin, and the Mexicano Austin. And there was a new initiative to revitalize the city, and so we got some money, opened the studio on the east side, with the Mexican side, to give opportunity for Latinos to work and then bring people over and see the work that was being produced. We were publishing about 17 to 18 artists a year that would come to the studio. They have no experience of printmaking. They were painters, photographers, sculptors, and I was the master printer and would collaborate with the artists making the prints. These are some of the prints that we did. Benito Huerta, Chicano artist, and Liliana Wilson, artist from Chile that was living in Austin at the time. So it started created this environment of collaboration among ourselves. Obviously, we did have invited artists of any different ethnicity, but it was important that the core was a Latino perspective of work. Obviously, the Mexicans have a long tradition of graphic works coming from the Taller de Gráfica Popular in Mexico, which actually the New Deal program of the arts here was actually a model from the Taller de Gráfica Popular in Mexico. And so we, coming from that Mexican tradition, were following that up. These are some of my prints that I was creating at the time at that studio. And again, evoking some of the Taino iconography, and this was around the time of the 500th anniversary, and we were presenting that kind of work. Again, these are serigraphy prints, so they're done in multiple. This was, I was sent to Sam and Gilberto Cardenas to Los Angeles to do a residency at the studio that we were actually a model. We were a copy of this studio in Los Angeles called Self-Hold Graphics, and one of the biggest collection of Chicano work and other Latinos. So I went there and I created a print, and at the same time got to extensively talk to their studio printers and directors about the idea of the project. This was a print that I did while I was in Los Angeles at that time. Again, at this time I'm coming from a commercial experience into the fine arts, and that was the mash that we have, and as I was developing the more fine art aspect of work during that time. When I went back from LA, I created a couple of these prints based on the caretas del carnaval, and in this case, my idea was by finding in a book an interesting picture where the actual mask was not covering the person's face, back to the school and dig through a closet and found spring equipment that was put away. So he started his own after-school program after that project. Again, this is other parts of the studio where we have printmaking and paper making, and I was working with another artist. At this time, I was creating this kind of work. This work, by now, I was teaching at the Corcoran College of Art, where I took a class, and I was teaching college without a degree, based on the experience brought up from Texas, and the ability to other works. At the Corcoran, we used to create projects where we collaborated with poets. There is a writing here by a poet that we will create portfolios and collaborate with poets and expose our students to all the, the writing. Obviously, I'm in Washington, and this was when after the attacks of 9/11,